Well, it's me and David Kinney.
Hello, Whitney.
Good, you can hear me. Good, I have a question to ask you.
Yes.
We had a tree fall down onto the pond, went on the ice. It was from our bank. Tony cut it up and there was sawdust on the pond. And there also are branches, or there were, now they're sinking and moved on. But what do we do? I know you don't put vegetation in the pond. What is the correct procedure, do you think?
You know, having some vegetation in the pond isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, they refer it to woody debris in the trade, and it's supposed to be good for enhancing wildlife, you know, especially.
Well, that's what Tony said. But
yes.
he thought that that there was no need to cut up the tree on the pond.
Yeah.
But, so next time he doesn't have to do it if a pine tree falls right over. It's quite a sizable pine tree. So
You know-
woody debris is all right. Sawdust is all right. Branches with white pine needles on it, or it's all right just to sink to the bottom of the pond.
Yeah, whenever I've gone snorkeling in the ponds around here, like a large trunk of a tree is just really attractive to fish. Oftentimes,
That's what
that's
Tony was saying.
yeah, that's a good thing, and then if you do cut it up and if you don't use non-oil based oil for your chainsaw, that's going to cause more of a problem in the pond than just leaving it there. So I think the best thing to do is just leave it. It's
So you were right,
good.
Tony.
Biological oil. You can buy biological oil for chainsaws.
Yeah, I've been looking at that and reading about it. I guess sometimes they'll even use oil from frying up French fries and from restaurants too. And
Really?
and it makes it smell like a snack bar in the woods.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can get hungry while you're chainsawing.
Exactly.
Or an electric saw.
Yeah, an electric saw would be great. They're getting better and better too. Do you?
I have a small one,
Uh-huh.
which is beautiful. It's a little tiny, I think 10, maybe 12-inch blade,
Mm-hmm.
2 batteries, Makita, and it's fabulous for one-handed trail trimming.
Yeah.
I've
I've got a friend who has a Makita electric too, and he's got trails in his property that he clears, and he just loves it. It's just really simple.
Yeah. You can go through and, I mean, it's not a chainsaw in a real sense, but it does much of what you want to do. And then you can go through with a chain. It's good to have both.
Yeah. I think that the electric chainsaws are getting more heavy duty too. I think Harbor Freight has one that's not that expensive that really rivals a powered, medium-sized gasoline-powered chainsaw in terms of what it can do.
Well, I went to see Randy who used to work in Lincolnville Viking and now works in the Searsport Viking, and he's the steel fix-it man for all the steel tools, the weed whackers and the weed leaf blowers and the chainsaws and the tree limbers, and of which I have 1 or 2 of virtually every model.
Uh-huh.
And I asked him about the steel electric saws, and my sense, because I had a small one that was giving up the ghost, and I wanted to get another one, not a full size chainsaw, but I think 18 inches.
Uh-huh.
So pretty good size. And he talked me out of electric and into getting another gas saw
Mhm.
because of weight, cost, and despite the oil and the gas, I'm just used to it.
Yeah, right.
I don't think they're quite yet competitive,
Mhm.
but anyway.
He would know.
Yeah, I think they're the future.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we were going to contact you about our issue. Before we did, Tony went and cut it up.
yeah, well, I was afraid I was going to get instruction I didn't want, so I thought I would act on instinct.
Uh-huh.
There are lots of trees, I mean, all around, well, I'm pointing here, but
Right.
there's a lot of trees that have fallen from the bank down, and they are nice, provide, I think, nice shoreline configuration structure for
Yeah.
fish. Places,
That's what Gary was just saying.
yeah, places for turtles.
Great to have good woody debris.
Yeah, yeah. But Whitney thought it needed to be removed. And then things got complicated. So I sort of jumped the gun a little bit, but good. Well, I'm glad we didn't do anything very bad.
Yeah, trees falling are a pretty natural thing.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. Hi, Steve.
Hi,
Hey,
Steve.
Steve,
I
you
haven't
hear us?
got the audio yet.
Yeah.
So you know, Gary, that Pat and Susan are not coming?
Well, I saw that Susan wasn't coming and Pat
This
in her
may,
first email said that she wasn't sure she could. Did you hear from her after that?
no, I didn't. That's
Okay.
what I'm referring to because she's on hospice duty.
Mhm.
God bless her for doing that work.
Yeah.
So she may or may not come.
Steve doesn't look like he's found the mute button.
No,
Is there a way, isn't it usually in the lower left-hand corner?
Yeah, it usually is if he can hear us. Steve, can you hear us?
no, we can't.
No, sir.
I think so.
It's quite funny.
Yeah.
I-
Here comes Rich.
How
Hi.
about this? How about this?
Oh, that's a good idea. Tony's writing a sign for Steve.
Hey, good idea. It looks like he might have some help coming in.
Whatever you
Right,
want,
yes.
they'll be fine. They can fit. I don't care if they're hot. So whatever.
Now, if he can just look. Look up, Steve.
Hi, Cheryl. That's
Hello.
Good to see you.
Yep, I'm on.
it's, I don't think you can see it. It's
Oh,
on over us.
You have to look up.
Lower left corner. That's a good one.
Hey, Rich, how are you? Oh, good to see you.
Hi, Gary.
Tony, maybe if you label it, put Steve's name on the top of it.
That's a good idea.
No, it's a personal communication.
Yes. He's not just waving around a paper.
Who's had their double shots? How many people have their 2 shots?
Do
Oh, here.
Nice. Nice. Okay.
We've got 2 shots in 2 weeks. So this has just reached our day of freedom.
Steve can't see, he's got to look up. Come on, Steve.
Tony, it needs to be over here.
No, put it in front of us, not him.
Well, I thought he could see it.
No, but he sees us. Don't you think?
I don't know.
Point-
Derek, what do you
Point to
think?
his name. Point to his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But this, it's backwards.
No, that's,
That's good. I can read it good.
You can?
Yeah, good job. He's not looking at it though.
No, I know.
give him a call.
Oh,
Anybody have a phone?
If
oh, I
I'd call him if I had his number. I don't have it handy.
don't have his number
Hold
either.
on a minute. I can get it.
Hold on.
I think the phone might, that maybe his wife will pick it up.
No, because he's zooming. He won't.
Hi, Cheryl, we're trying to, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Cheryl?
Yeah.
We're trying to assist Steve in unmuting himself,
I know.
and we're not getting very far.
He might not have the whole gallery view on, and if he doesn't, he can't see us either.
That's true.
That's true.
So that's in the
So-
upper right-hand corner, right?
Okay, so, yeah, we don't have,
Tony's finding his number.
oh, okay.
Oh, here we go.
And here comes Tandy.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Welcome, Tandy. We're trying to get Steve connected with his audio.
It looks like Tandra's muted too.
Hi, Steve. Steve, we can see you, but we can't hear you. We can see you talking, but we still can't hear you. Maybe you can look up at the screen if you can hear me. Okay, hold on, let me
Yeah.
look at him.
I did, Winnie. I don't have the mute button on.
Okay, you're good now.
Yeah.
You're okay. Tandra, you're
I
good.
can't hear you.
Steve, if you, in the
I
lower,
could hear you last
in the
time.
lower left-hand corner, is the mute button.
There we are. Hey, you guys, we're just gonna have dinner. I'll have
Okay.
to eat dinner while I'm with you guys.
All right, well,
Oh, good.
Hello, Lise.
Hi, I couldn't hear anybody for a minute or two. Sorry to interrupt.
No, we haven't called the meeting to order yet. We're working with Steve to get his audio to work.
all right, I might have another number. I've got an email. I wonder if I can send an email to him.
Steve, can you hear me?
Steve,
Okay.
Yeah, he
So
said,
I think
yeah.
that's good. So in your lower right-hand corner, there might be an unmute button.
Left.
Sometimes
It
it
is.
goes, sometimes it doesn't.
On our screen, it's lower left-hand corner.
Okay.
for me, it's upper right.
Oh,
Well, just pick your choice.
he's got to bring his cursor down to the bottom or top to even see it, or it won't show up. I don't
He
know.
doesn't seem to be moving. He could turn his video off. Sometimes that works.
Lisa, I can only see you at the very, very bottom of the screen. Can you?
Oh, really? I can see you.
Yeah, now you're a little more in it. Okay. Lisa's in, looks like she may be in her pajamas.
How's that?
Much better. Thank
I'm
you.
not in my pajama. Oh, well,
Oh,
no, I
very-
wear this all the time.
Okay.
You're like, don't stand up. Right.
Steve, can you move the cursor around on your screen? And if you move it up, down to the lower left margin,
How are we doing, Chef?
your microphone might show up.
Yeah. Can you see it yet? So just click on that mic.
You can cook those shed row or wait till, it's gonna be 2 hours.
Well, we need, my sign language is very, very limited. All I can do is,
He hears you.
Very good, very good.
So Steve, at least you can hear what's going on with the meeting.
Yeah, good.
And if you want to express something, you could write it down on a piece of paper and put it in front of your face. So if anything comes to a vote, you can get your yays or nays in.
There's always this.
That's right. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
That's right.
So I'll call the meeting to order now. It's good to see everyone. I think that we heard that Pat might not be able to make it because she had hospice duty. And we also heard from Susan that she wouldn't be able to make it because she's going to be traveling tomorrow. Why don't we review the minutes from the last meeting?
Tony has to go and get them.
Okay, great. I've got them on my phone here. I haven't printed them out, but I can see them.
Okay,
oh,
you'll have to wait a minute.
Sure.
Here he comes.
This,
Minutes are coming.
It's taking them a long time.
this might be an appropriate moment for me to say, I can't hear anything.
So as usual, I think Tony did a terrific job on
He
the
sure
minutes.
did.
And I know he
Absolutely.
made some corrections on them earlier on because we had Paul there and we wanted to make sure that we got his pieces down correctly. Are there any additional comments on the minutes over and above those that we already have? Lise?
Number 6 under Paul, second line, it should be the Camden Ad Hoc Committee. Because it makes it seem as though it could be any old ad hoc committee, maybe like the Lincolnville committee, and then we'd be in real trouble.
Right? Noted.
Okay.
Thank you. And also, if we could, on the, well, what I have under Phragmites, the second paragraph, the committee agreed that Lisa's press release, I prefer that it be agreed that the press release.
Sounds good.
Right?
I have one too. I hate to bring up, I know you talked to Paul about the moorings piece, but I think there's a misinterpretation here that I need, that needs to be cleared up. Because the inland harbor master under moorings does not have discretion of approving or moving moorings without an ordinance. So that sentence says absent town regulation, in other words, without an ordinance, that the inland harbor master has authority to control moorings. That is not the case. You know, inland harbor master, if there's a complaint that a mooring is put in a zone that makes it unsafe or interferes with travel of other watercraft, he can intervene if someone is breaking the law, but he does not have the discretion of where to put moorings.
Are you absolutely sure that that is the case? Because Paul looked at this. And
Well,
it's also, it stands us all in good stead to have it there.
Well, Rich, just a clarifying question for you. If the inland harbor master perceives that a mooring creates a hazard, can he direct it to be moved?
Thank you, darling.
Even
Yeah.
in the absence of a
Yes.
Yes, but he
ordinance?
can't,
So there might be a way of working with that thought in this sentence. So it's at the discretion of the inland harbor master if the mooring presents a hazard. Maybe put that at the end of it before the comma.
I think we got to be really careful because that sounds as though if somebody takes a look at it, it makes it seem as though, you know, anybody can do anything they want if the harbor master doesn't say anything. And this way, at least, there's a cap on it.
that's
But
not,
isn't that the case, Lise, that anybody can do anything they want?
it is.
Well,
Unless,
I thought that the inland, I'll go get my notes maybe, but I thought the inland harbor master did have an awful lot of discretion about this and that,
No,
I think
I'll go
it
get my
comes,
notes.
I think it comes down to the judgment of whether or not the inland harbor master perceives it to be a hazard.
that is true. That is true. And that's what they're trying to get approved on in Camden, is to give the inland harbor master that kind of power to be able to have some discretion about where these moorings are put, because they haven't been able to get an ordinance through. So now they're trying to get the inland harbor master to have more authority to do that. That hasn't been done in our town yet. Therefore, people can put a mooring wherever they choose to, but if it is breaking the law, then the inland harbor master can step in. But he does not have the discretion at this point of deciding where a mooring can be put in or not, or else we wouldn't be bothering with an ordinance.
No, because the inland harbor master has to follow certain directives.
we wouldn't be bothering with an ordinance, Lise, if the harbor master could do that already. That's what we're trying to pass now. That's what we're working on.
What if you just added a phrase at the end that said, has the authority to approve, or has the authority to move specific moorings if he notes a hazard?
I think you better check it with Paul, quite frankly, because I think this is very tricky. Really tricky. And we don't want it to look as though we're inviting everybody to put moorings wherever they want. Better take out the sentence than have it be wrong.
That's a very good point.
Why not just take the entire sentence out then?
Yeah, and just,
And have moorings are controlled by the state and go straight to until Camden passes an ordinance. Take that
Yeah.
middle sentence right out.
Yeah.
What do people think of that idea? Does anyone have a concern with removing the sentence?
No, I think it's a very good idea.
No, I have no trouble with that. I'm reading it as incorrect right now, so I'd rather have it
Right.
out.
So let's take it out. It sounds like we probably do need some clarification, and I guess this is really an issue for the mooring committee to deal
it's
with.
very tricky.
Yeah, it sounds like it is. It'd be interesting.
And you want to
see
be
what
really
Camden
careful
comes
what
up
you put
with.
in the minutes, because they'll come back to haunt you one day in a
Okay.
lawsuit or something.
Okay, so we have two issues here. We have one issue is what should the minutes say? And the other is what are you waving, Elise?
What?
I'm s-
Am I waving?
Well, there was
No.
something
No,
orange.
now that's Tandy's napkin.
No, right here in front of Lise.
No, it was
Okay, well,
Tandy's
all right. So
napkin.
anyway, there are two issues here. What should the minutes say? Which
She's eating.
the answer to
Yes.
that is take out the sentence. And then the second issue is what's the business about the moorings and the harbor master, which we don't address at this moment.
Okay, so that's an item that we can bring up during the meeting proper if we want to provide some guidance to the mooring committee.
Okay, so for purposes of the minutes, which is our present topic, we have the insertion of the word Camden that Lise mentioned, the delete Lise and put in the press release and remove this one sentence. And with that, the minutes are taken care of. Am I correct?
Yes, any other comments in the minutes?
No,
Okay, thank you all, and thank you, Tony. I thought they were great minutes.
so we don't, just one thing, Tony shouldn't call up
No,
Paul
don't open that
Leeper.
door until.
No, I don't think there's a need for that.
Yeah,
That's what
okay.
I'm saying. It's two different issues.
Yes,
That's not I could call him up if there was a minutes issue.
yeah, I get,
That's a mooring issue,
yes,
and I'm not qualified for that.
okay.
Neither are we.
We
Mercy,
have specialists who are dealing with that on our committee. Okay, let's do our lake by lake round robin. Do we have a volunteer to begin?
Sure, I'll start. Ice is going out rapidly,
Yes.
and our ice out last year was March 29th. We're suspecting it might be out earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
We have not seen as many ducks as we usually do. Perhaps is it early that we've seen mergansers, common merganser.
hooded merganser,
I thought you said they were common.
hooded merganser.
Okay, hooded mergansers. We've been seeing hooded mergansers. And I saw an eagle sitting on the ice today with the crows not far away from it on the tree. And someone,
Geese on the ice.
Tony saw 6 geese on the ice.
Yeah.
And I read in Diane O'Brien's column that Liz Hand had seen wood ducks, and that's different location from where we are
Mhm.
on the pond. Haven't seen otters or beaver yet. So that's it.
Thank you, Whitney.
You're welcome.
How about Moody Pond, Lise?
Well, truth be told, I haven't been down on the shore because I'm nervous about our dog, but, going out on the ice. But however, it looks as though there's about 6 or 7 feet of water, and then the ice starts. And people were out on the ice fishing yesterday. So
Mhm.
it's still going on. And I couldn't tell whether it was ducks or geese arriving this evening. Well, it was one or the other, but I didn't dare sick Bouncy on it. If it had been geese, I would have sicked her on them. But given the ice situation, sort of, I stay far away from the edge of the shore for a while. But Moody sends its love, and it's looking gorgeous. Because if you don't get close to it, it looks as though it's all covered with ice, and it's
Mhm.
just wonderful.
Mhm. What about water levels in Moody?
I haven't been down to the shore.
Okay, to tell.
And
To
cold
tell.
is high.
It is high. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't gone down at all.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be hard to hear from Steve on Norton Pond, but to me, the water level looked a little lower. I drove past it today, and some of those emergent islands that you see by the culvert, by Drake's Culvert, seem to be sticking out of the water.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Are.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Steve, can you say anything? Is that Steve?
Yep. Any comments on water level, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, this was so good.
You're good. I did too.
I folded up the dark wash. I got the whitewash in. So my baby has this robe tonight.
Sounds like we can't hear from Steve yet.
Steve, how's Norton?
I think he needs to turn up his volume now. He's not really loud enough.
He's turning it up.
Yeah,
That.
That's better.
Yeah.
little better.
Yeah, you could turn it up even more if you wanted, Steve.
Turn it up.
Probably blow you out of the water.
No.
No, not at all.
All the way up.
We could hear his wife.
Yeah, turn it all the way up, Steve. All the way up.
Well, geez, it's pretty hot, pretty loud right here.
Okay.
Well, it's not
for-
loud here.
So
Okay.
the rest of us can pipe down a bit, I guess.
Yeah,
I think it's
Titan, do you want to
it's
go
his
outside?
microphone volume, not the speakers. Microphone. I don't know if you can find that.
Where exactly would that be?
Well, we can hear you. So
Yeah, we can hear him.
at this point. So anything to report on Norton Pond, Steve? No, we're not hearing it.
A lot of projects are going on, Norton's Pond. The road situation is supposed to be being taken care of. And I can report on that another week as far as what we're going to do as far as hot topping. And other than that, it's been fairly quiet. The ice hasn't moved much. We did have that lawn race. And other than that, it's been all quiet.
So Steve, do I understand that there are plans to pave Norton Road?
Absolutely. We're supposed to be paving it all the way from 235 up to Breezemere Park.
Hmm.
And because we've had some serious erosion, and we have already done the culverts and replaced the culverts. And we're voting now to try to
It's
get
so good, honey. You don't want to eat it. I ate every bit of yours.
Andy, could you mute your microphone, please?
we can't hear Steve.
You got it.
Okay. Thanks. So paving that road will be a good thing for the pond because I think that there was a fair amount of erosion off of it over the years, and that's not good at all for the phosphorus levels. So that's a positive.
Yep, that's correct. So we're hoping that will all go through. We've got some people that don't like the idea, that don't want to put the money into it, but we've got a good amount that do want to do it. So I think it will pass.
Mhm. So it's a matter of the road association paying for it, or does the town pay for it?
Town will pay absolutely nothing.
Oh, really?
They should after all the taxes we're sending there, but they don't seem to like the idea of putting money into it. So it's all up to us.
Mhm. I'd be interested, what is the assessment? Does it depend on frontage in the road or other factors?
Frontage on the water.
Frontage on the water.
Oh,
And also the number of lots that you have.
Yep.
Most people are paying anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 per lot for their taxes.
And how about the assessment for the road itself? What is that costing the landowners?
We're only assessed $200 a year per cottage.
And that's going to be enough to pave the road?
What we're going to do is we're going to get a bank loan to the association. And they'll be on a mortgage. And there'll be enough money. We take in probably approximately $14,000 a year.
Okay. So you'll be paying for it over time?
Yes.
Mhm. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any reports on McGuntacook? I drove past McGuntacook on 52 today, and there was a lot less ice on the bay near Route 52 on my trip back than my way in. It really seems to be breaking up fast.
Yeah, fast.
I think it took a long time for the ice to come into that section because of all of the north wind that we had early in the winter. So it must have been thinner ice, and it seems to be breaking up at that end.
And lots of ducks and geese in that swamp by Boggs Bridge,
Mm-hmm.
not where the boats are moored, but on
Right.
the other side.
The other side. Okay.
They were all congregating and they were very happy. Very happy.
Cheryl, do you have any comments on the inlet stream?
Not really. We haven't seen it in a while, so I
Okay.
have to say no. I can say about Norton Pond is that it still appears to be frozen other than by the road. It seems to be, there's so much more ice there than there is on Maguntacook Lake. But that's all I've seen.
Okay, thanks. Pitcher Pond, Rich?
Yeah, as of a couple of days ago when I was over there, the ice is in quite a bit. I think it's going to be going out quickly. Water levels seem to have stayed steady. And when I checked out how the beavers were doing with that continual dam issue, it seems like they haven't been back yet to create any new problems. So, so far so good with that.
That's good.
That's about all.
Is there any ice in the area where the boat launch is now? I know that earlier in the year, it was pretty dry there.
Yeah, it's had ice. It still had some ice in a couple days ago. I don't know if it's gone out that fast, but it was going out a couple days ago, but it was mostly covered. Yeah.
So I can report on Levenseller. There were ice fishermen out there yesterday, even though there's an apron of water that's starting to open up around the edges. So I guess it's like Moody that way, that
People are still going out yesterday.
people are trying to stretch out the season, and I think it can get dangerous. One other thing I wanted to mention about Levenseller, and this goes to the minutes that we read, and I'm not asking for any changes in the minutes, but Levenseller does have a statutory restriction that was passed by the legislature or approved by the legislature that limits the use of outboard motors. So there is a requirement banning outboard motors on Levenseller.
Is that recent, Gary?
No, it's longstanding. And if you look at the fishing booklet that comes out every year from the state, it's noted as.
Hi, Pat.
Hey, Pat, welcome.
Hi. Sorry to be late.
Glad you could join us.
Me too.
Pat, anything new?
Gary, that's not a horsepower limitation. It's categorical outboards.
Right, categorical outboards.
Why?
Sometimes, someone on the lake must have got the support of the town of Searsmont and petitioned the legislature to ban motors altogether.
So
Love to have it on Moody.
Gary, what about electric motors?
I know that people occasionally use trolling motors, so I'm not sure if the restriction goes to electric trolling motors or not.
Pat, I was wondering if you had anything more about Pitcher Pond to add. I'm not over there a whole lot in the winter.
No, it's pretty quiet.
Very quiet, yeah.
Got a lot more ice than everywhere else, that's for sure.
Thinning.
We've had a pair of eagles that are being harassed by the crows, and it's been kind of exciting to watch.
The other thing I wanted to mention about Levenseller is that 3 days ago, there was a loon that was flying out over Levenseller, scouting it out. And I don't think it found a place where it could land yet, but they're checking
nice.
to establish their territories as early as they can. So keep a lookout.
Yeah.
Anything else to report from the lakes?
We had one canoe.
Hmm.
Where was it going?
It was close to the shore,
Uh-huh. Oh, that's neat.
in the open water close to the
Huh.
shore.
Good.
I have a question that goes back to Steve or back to anyone. Norton Road is being paved, and Norton Road goes from 235 to the culvert.
No, Breesmere.
Does he go through to Breesmere? I don't think it does.
Does, he said.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay, so if you drive in Beechmere, you can come out on 235?
Yes. Yeah. I oftentimes ride my bicycle on that loop.
Is it a private road or can anyone use it? Private road. We
Well-
can't hear you, but we can lip read.
It's a private road, but anyone can drive on it. I mean, it's just like any other private road. Anyone can use it.
Oh, illegally?
Yeah.
You can't be kept off it? No.
Hmm.
Yeah, I always thought private meant private and we shouldn't go on it.
No, you can't. I don't think you can restrict that.
Huh.
I'm not sure, but I've done a lot of study because I'm trying to get our road association up to speed on Wentworth. And as far as I know, even though it's a private road, there has to be access. And once there's public access, I mean, the UPS truck uses it, everybody uses it.
Well, true.
Mhm.
It can be posted private road, but I don't think you can keep people off it. No.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think private means more than anything is that the town doesn't pay for anything.
Right.
Should all just be Port Road then.
Well, they put it up also so people like me think that it means something and don't use it.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Maybe,
one-
yeah.
I'll bet that once Norton Pond Road is paved, it will get a lot more use.
Mhm.
Well, I hope it doesn't become a shortcut. That's what a lot
Yeah.
of people, where we used to live on Cape Cod, we were on a road that was super quiet. And as soon as they paved it and widened it, it became a shortcut to the liquor store.
Mhm.
First, we have to get a liquor store. Oh, we have one. Never
Well,
mind.
Not far from the road, right?
yeah.
Oh,
I'll bet the consumers drove a lot faster on the way home.
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, it's probably important to post a low speed limit and have that expectation.
Yeah.
I can't hear you, Steve. Still can't hear you.
Volume.
Well, it's,
And we can't understand the lip reading.
There's a
You have to
microphone,
use shorter words.
a
More
microphone
gestures.
setting.
Just
There's a-
yes or no.
yes,
um,
Cheryl's checking out the microphone volume setting, which is separate from the speaker volume setting.
Yes. And I think that's a preset that you have to do before you join Zoom.
Okay.
I
When they-
think.
Yeah, when they
Yeah.
say check audio levels,
Mhm.
Yes.
before you actually sign on, I think that's where you can change that.
Oh. Go to your Zoom app and
Yeah.
fix it.
Next time.
Right, when you can open Zoom independently and make all your
Right.
settings and check your video and volume of everything. And it gives you a little level line that shows you whether it's working or not.
Why is Whitney laughing?
Yeah. So Steve, if there's something important that you'd like to communicate to us, you can put up flashcards with
You write it
with
down.
words on them.
Whiteboard.
Or you could
He
send
says,
us
"Oh,
all,
no."
or you could send us all an email after the meeting. Or
There's
in-
also
Or
a
chat.
chat. There's also a chat button at the bottom that you can make comments on the chat. So if you click on chat, it opens a little screen and you can type something to everybody. Like,
Oh, look at that.
did anybody see my hello?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's the chat button at the bottom. You can talk on that or type on it.
That's my first chat ever. Well, I'm on a borrowed iPad mini that belongs to an 8-year-old, and he didn't teach me all its tricks.
Oh, you're doing well.
Yeah, except now I can't make it all go away because it's
Yeah.
touch screen and I,
There's an
Now I'm
X,
stuck.
X it out maybe. Yeah.
yeah.
So we're
Oh, I'm
getting
supposed
more
to
and more
hit,
sophisticated all of the time.
but
Maybe
it would
we
be
should move
faster. Somebody should have just driven over to Steve's by now and helped him.
Right.
I know.
So why don't we move on to our next agenda item, and it would be an update on our Phragmites project. I've been working with Dave Kinney to get our budget for the permit in place. And I'm learning about how the budget process works. And I guess the way it works is if we want to spend money or another committee wants to spend money, it has to be placed on the treasurer's warrant. And the treasurer's warrant goes to the Board of Selectmen and they approve it along with all of the other expenditures for the town for the upcoming period. So it would include salaries or other kinds of costs. So what David needed to know was the cost of the permit. And that cost is $256 plus a $2 permit fee. He included that in the treasurer's warrant and it went to the select board last night, and I presume it was approved. So the next step is going to be for me to work with Kayla, the town's finance director, to use a credit card, the town's credit card, to be able to pay the state treasurer for the permit. And once the state treasurer has record of that payment, or the DEP has record of that payment, that information is included in the permit before we submit it to show that it's been paid for. So we've got that step done. And again, I presume
you.
it's approved. So the next step will be to write up the permit. My thought on that is to write it up as generally as I can. So we're not bound too restrictively to be able to say that we want to do something like the Connecticut protocol, but we might modify that depending on what the conditions are this year. So to get general approval for removing it, but not to include herbicides of any kind at this point, that it would be manual work, no wheeled vehicles going onto the area. It would all be hand cutting, but the timing of it may be varied. If I can get that submitted between now and the next meeting, I will. If not, I can include specifics for us to discuss at the next meeting. And if anybody has any comments on things specifically that you feel that I should include or not include, or if I come across things that are sensitive or include something and get some comments back from the state about how we plan to handle it, I can bring those up at future meetings. I think we still have another couple of meetings before we'd actually need to get our full approval and start the project. I guess those would be the April meeting and the May meeting.
Might it be a good idea to include the ability to bring a wheeled vehicle onto the site? We might need it.
Well, I guess what I would say.
I can't see why, but
Yeah,
you know,
so maybe no gasoline powered vehicle onto the site, because I think that would pose problems for them. But I think if we needed a wheelbarrow or a cart or something like that, that would be part of the manual removal process. So I'll make sure that I talk about no gasoline powered vehicles or electric powered vehicles.
Gary, there's approval from for the budget, $258 total from the town, and then that goes to the state.
Yes.
And so we have the town. We think we have the town, the select board approval.
Yeah, we think we have the town. I guess the minutes could say that it was included as part of the treasurer's warrant at the meeting last night.
Okay.
Boy, it's complicated.
Yeah, it is complicated. It was even hard to figure out the cost, the way the state has written up the requirements. They really don't make clear whether or not the $2 fee is part of the 256 or more than that. And that had to be included in the in the warrant. So it took a call to the state to sort that one out, that $2.
well, thank you. It sounds difficult. It's a lot of work.
Well, it's, interesting for me, having been a bureaucrat my whole life, yay, to be in the other end of it now and try to figure things out, try to see what you need to do. Okay, I guess another item that unfortunately we were unable to cover at the last meeting because Cheryl didn't receive her invitation to our last meeting is following up on the sign that she's been working on.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of at a standstill now. It is just a PDF or a document or whatever, and I don't know where it goes from there.
Yeah, I think what we talked about is that now that we've got that sign, and I think we've all commented on it, I could present it to Dave Kinney and see what he thinks the next step would be, whether or not the select board would need to approve the specifics of the sign. And I think the other thing that we would want would be an estimate of what we think it would cost to
Yeah.
reproduce it and mount it so that that can be included in the treasurer's warrant, now that we know that such a thing exists. So if Cheryl, if you could come up with one that you think would be good to show to David and maybe in a
Okay.
form that he could show to the select board, along with what you think an estimate would be to create it.
Okay, I think I could do that. I'll have to do a little research on who does outdoor signage, because I think it needs to be at least somewhat durable. But
There's a sign store opposite is it the Irving
Yes.
gas station?
oh,
just-
I actually know that guy. I took a course from him at night school one time. So I could call there and ask. That would be a great source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would think.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay, I will do that.
And the other piece is that I've got to write up the several paragraphs that we put into the town's annual report. That's going to be due to Kayla April 9th. And I'll base it on the last one we did, updating it. But what we talked about doing at our last meeting was to be able to include Susan's narrative on the Phragmites project as a standalone piece. And the purpose of that would be not just to communicate about the Phragmites project itself, but also to be able to get across the joys
Educate.
and actions
Yeah.
of working on a town committee. She did such a nice job of doing that.
You did.
When I saw that she wasn't going to be able to attend the meeting this evening and that she was traveling and not knowing where she was traveling, I communicated with her today. And she is going out of town, and she's going to be out of town for a while. But she said that she'll have her word processor with her, and she'd be able to modify it. And I think she wanted to turn it into like a one-page document, maybe something that was a little bit smaller. And that she'd be able to do that and get that done in time for submittal along with our regular piece. And then we'll see whether or not the town wants to include it or not in the annual report. That'll probably be subject to the select board's approval.
Gary, I was remembering that this is the time of year that usually somebody from the town office would come take a picture of us all at a meeting.
Uh-huh.
And it would be in the report. So, you know, are they going to do a Zoom collage, like a Brady Bunch?
Well, we could
picture,
take a
or-
picture and send
You
it
know
to
what?
them.
You know what I did? I took a picture of the rec commission. There's only 3 of us, so it wasn't too
Yeah.
hard. But I just held up my camera and took a picture of the screen,
Yeah.
but I kept the camera out of it, and it came out really good.
So I'll try
We should
that.
do that in April then, if hopefully we're all together. Yeah.
So I'll try one now because maybe since I need to get it in by April. Let's see if I can get it.
Could we have Post-it notes for Susan and Tandy?
I know.
Well, we could probably, maybe at our next meeting, take another one, but I'll try to
Just in
Photoshop them
case.
in.
now.
How are you going to do it and not show the camera?
Well, you don't see the camera, right?
No.
You certainly
go.
don't. You don't
I'll
look
try
as though you're
again.
taking a picture.
He hasn't said cheese.
Yes. We haven't said cheese.
Oh, Benghazi.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Also for photographs, there was a thought of putting photographs of the 6 of you who were working that I think, Lise, do you have, or is it Susan who
I
has?
think that Susan has it, and she has it as part of her one-page write-up, and I think they like
And they're
that.
all individual pictures.
Yeah, which is good, how,
But now, when you took that picture, the Oprah's doors are very dark.
We like it that way.
Flattering,
I know,
very
but for the
flattering.
picture, you can't be seen. You look like little blobs.
Let
Oh,
me see what
no.
let me see how it came out.
Do you have a light close by
Working on it.
to show all the wrinkles?
Get the flashlights. and
I
hope-
know, I did forget to turn on the
Okay,
light.
Whitney, come here. Come.
No, look. Hey, nice. There, hold it
There we
underneath.
are.
There,
Oh
perfect.
my God.
That's good.
I think for context, if I do submit this photo, I'm going to include the computer in it too. For
Yes, yes.
There you go.
Oh, dear.
is there anything else that we need to talk about relative to Phragmites? I think we're good.
Oh, I do.
Okay, any other items? Do we
Just-
Well,
want
we're
to
still muddling along with the ordinance committee, the mooring ordinance. And I guess we've gotten to the point, I think that Jay is going to take it before the select board on the 12th of April. And maybe Richard, you'd like to summarize what, virtually we'd like to rework the document we sent before and or give them a choice as to whether we have to rework the town attorney's document or the document that we presented before and make some adjustments to it. Is that a fair rendition? And basically, the shorefront owners would be the people who would have moorings in front of their house, and if you had to traverse somebody's private property, that the owner's written permission would be required, and also something about where the person could park. And as far as moorings in the DMZ out between 100 and 200 feet offshore, that would be according to what the inland harbor master decided. And and I brought up afterwards, which I forgot to mention at the time, was that perhaps it might be a good idea to consider not having swim floats in the zone that's between 100 and 200 feet offshore. And we were going to prohibit people spending the night on any boats that are moored. And that way would get around the houseboat issue of defining what a houseboat is or isn't. And just have it be people can't spend the night because the whole issue of toilets and everything, there are no pump out stations on any of these lakes. And so a houseboat would not be a good idea. What else?
Well, what I would add is we now have a recommendation for the ordinance with some of the things that Lisa mentioned, but the other piece that is very important is the inland harbor master would be in charge of approving where those moorings go in the 100 to 200 feet. It would have to be permitted. There'd be a fee involved. This is what our recommendations are. So the parking lease, what we decided was that we wouldn't include that because there's already regulations about parking where people can and can't park. So
And then let them figure it out.
they'll figure it out. We don't have to include that. But we've got a coherent proposals for an ordinance. So I'm hoping now that we can move this ahead.
And this is being presented by who to the
Jay
select?
Foster, the chair of the committee.
Our committee will be presenting it, and Jay's our chair.
To the select board on
April 12th.
April 12th.
And
So we're happy that we got something pulled together after all this time.
I bet you are.
Yeah, yeah.
And are we calling, what is the title of this document? Is it a proposed, is it a?
We don't have the document yet. We're going to be presenting the draft that was submitted by the town. I wouldn't get into any of this.
Well, it's a proposed mooring ordinance. Simple.
Yeah, proposed mooring ordinance, just leave it at that.
And it's going to be presented to the select board at their next meeting
Verbally, we don't have a document,
Their April meeting,
to
April.
discuss the ideas.
but I don't think we want to get into any of that in the minutes. The vaguer, the better.
Just out of curiosity, what if a 12-year-old, couple of 12-year-old boys want to push out from shore in a canoe and spend the night in the canoe floating around? Is that now illegal?
Grandpa, you tell those boys to get back in the house.
You know, that
Well,
sounds like,
we're talking about mooring.
Yeah,
the
Yeah, they're
mooring
on board.
ordinance, Not
They-
whatever people do in boats.
Okay, moorings, this is about moorings, not about anchoring.
that was an example of having fun. It's not,
yeah.
not something that the inland Harbor
We're not getting into that.
chase after.
Okay, but then that means that you can anchor wherever you want. Not,
No, because the mooring
Yeah.
ordinance would just be about mooring. I mean, anchoring is a whole other issue. We're not dealing with that in this
Not dealing-
committee.
we're not.
Mooring is tough enough.
Okay, we're not, okay. This is moorings only, not anchoring. Okay,
Yeah, if that became a concern, Tony, you know, someone could call the inland harbor master and he could talk to them, but that would be it.
okay. Well,
Well, so no spending the night. I mean, I wouldn't get into it in the thing, but I think what we were thinking about was nobody could spend the night on a boat, on a mooring.
right.
If they wanted to float all night, but we're not regulating floating.
Right. That's,
All right,
So I just want to include one other item, and this doesn't have to be part of the minutes. I was looking at a site that the state runs that does geographic mapping. And there are maps that are available to any citizen of the state that are really detailed. And they include different kinds of ecological features, wetlands, blocks of undeveloped areas, where there are particular wildlife resources or plant species resources. And they're really, really big maps. I'll show you one of them. And I ordered these up
Wow.
for our Lakes and Ponds Committee because it shows all of the ponds. Like this one shows. This one shows land ownership. What you see in pink is state-owned property, for example. But it shows all of the developed areas, the undeveloped areas. So I can't wait to show all of these to you in person the next time we're able to meet in person. But the one thing I discovered is that we've got an additional lake. That if you look carefully at the map and you look at Knight's Pond, there's a piece of Knight's Pond that is in Lincolnville. So the whole thoroughfare between Pitcher Pond and Knight's Pond on its west side is Lincolnville, but it also includes a small piece of Knight's Pond as well, which is kind of interesting.
How interesting. Are they the same maps that?
Can you raise it a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, there's.
Yeah, then you see it.
There, down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Haha.
Huh.
Could,
And there are different maps with different themes. I'll show you one other. So this one is
So
actually
where are,
this is like a satellite map or an aerial map that actually displays the the topography, the trees.
Who puts them out, Gary?
What's that again?
Who puts them out? Who puts
The
the map
state of
out?
Maine.
State of Maine. How would we find them? Where would we call?
I'll look that up and I'll get a message out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you. You're great.
We'll just talk quietly among ourselves while Gary's off with his maps.
We can't do that without our leader.
There he is.
Another one, and you can get these for any area within the state. So this is a wetland characterization map. Here.
Huh,
That's the town.
There are great
interesting.
resources. And, I figured they'd be great resources too for the comprehensive planning committee once it's reestablished. To have these as well, because this has a lot of GIS layering on it, and they've done ranking of the qualities of area depending on
Oh, wonderful.
stacking different kinds of attributes together, and they color code things that way as well. But I think
Is
that
there a date on it?
resource for us. What's that?
Is there a date?
So the dates vary. So when they do like GIS layering, the particular layers might come from a different period. So they may have done a particular kind of study in 2015, and they would note that for that layer of the map. But something else might be more recent in terms of development or building. So every building in town is shown on too, the way the old USGS maps would show buildings. But it's really interesting to see what we've got, and there's some just really large tracts of undeveloped land still in town, and that would be something important, I think, to take into account as part of the comprehensive planning process too.
When is the comprehensive planning process going to start?
Is there anyone who's been following that?
I have actually applied to be on that committee. I submitted my paperwork, but I haven't heard a word. I was going to contact David about that because I haven't heard anything. And
He talked about it a couple of years ago. He talked about it a couple of years ago.
Well, it's this year. It's now.
Yeah.
I mean, but
It's now.
I don't know when.
I've also
Oh,
applied,
good.
Cheryl, and I had been on it for several years.
Okay.
And I
Ooh,
haven't
I'm
heard
gonna
back.
apply. I'm
And
going to
what?
apply.
Oh, I think we all should, really. Yeah, but I
don't want
haven't
it too
heard.
big.
Oh, they won't let it be too big, but I haven't heard back either. So I'm not
Okay.
sure if they're really in any hurry to do it.
Mhm.
Because they let it just sort of dissolve, and
Well,
it needs to be reactivated.
I wasn't clear. I thought that from what I assumed, it was a 15-year plan and the other one was what, 2007? So this comprehensive plan should encompass the next 15 years? Is that what they talk about? Or I'm not clear on that.
No,
No.
it was traditionally an ongoing committee and was charged with reviewing the activities and goals of other town committees. It was
Continually then? I mean,
it would function continually until it didn't.
Wow.
Until it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
One by one, we either died or just expired.
No,
And,
I think it's so important since I've moved here first part-time and then permanently 10 years ago. In 10 years, so much has changed, and it really concerns me that there needs to be a better direction for the town. And by that, I mean something that, people look at what conservation wise, what are we going to do about overdevelopment, that sort of thing. I think it's got to be more comprehensive than it has been.
Yeah.
We think the mooring committee is difficult. This one is going to be even more difficult.
Right.
Well,
So-
it's all difficult because so many people have, you know, their ideas and opinions. And when you get a group together, it's very hard to come to an agreement. But again, I think it's got to be done. I think people are going to
Oh,
be,
yeah, I think I agree.
people are going to be willing to agree that something that's for the good of everyone is going to have to happen. And a lot of it is just, you know, my concern is right now, I know two young couples who are trying to buy a house and they cannot beat out the developers, the rehabbers and the investors. They just
Well,
can't
it's
do it.
bad right now. I mean, ever since COVID, it's been tremendous.
Right. But I think there needs to be some restrictions on what people can build where. I mean, there are some now, but I think it has to be a little bit
Not
more,
enough.
a little bit more constrictive.
A few years ago, some, maybe 15 years ago, there was a discussion about zoning. And the town divided in half.
Yep.
Pretty much along predictable lines.
Yeah.
People who have been here for many generations versus people like myself who had been here for a mere 40 years and were newcomers.
Yeah, babe.
And I don't know whether that was reflected on the select board, the makeup of the select board. And I think changing, and I think that now, if zoning ordinance came up for discussion, I think my guess, I don't know, but my guess is that there would be more in favor of zoning than there was 15, 20 years ago.
Well, I think so too. I think there's a lot of not so much younger people, but I mean, we are the younger people compared to who was there 20 years ago or 15 years ago. So I think there is hope that people are going to be more forward looking to see what's going to happen in the next 15 or 20 years here. And, you know, I literally left somewhere that was being controlled by the Washashores, and I was not happy about that. So I don't want to be the Washashore that changes this area. I want to be the one that keeps it. You know, I want it to stay the way it was as much as possible. I don't know, if you come from somewhere else, you came here for a reason, so you shouldn't be bringing all that stuff with you.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
they really are quality of life issues.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there would be some special perspectives that we might be able to offer as the Lakes and Ponds Committee if because there is a section of the comprehensive plan that does deal with the Lakes and Ponds Committee and our responsibility.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're in there more than once.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so is the Conservation Committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the things that are in there were just sort of let go. I don't know, because maybe there wasn't a committee to sort of oversee it. For one thing, the Recreation Commission has become literally 3 women who, I mean, I don't know, I'm, you know, downgrading myself a little bit by saying only 3 women, but, you know, it was a committee that had a lot of activities planned, a lot of changes planned, and there was monies that were actually supposed to be set aside every year so that we didn't have to beg for money. And that never, over the last several years, I don't know how many since I've been here, have not happened. So it's, you know, for a can of paint, you have to go ask for money, and it makes it very difficult.
I think so.
Well, this is a good discussion. It's good for us all to be aware
Yes, it is.
this is going on and decide, you know, I think it's difficult too, looking at the notes that we get from Dave Kinney on the bulletin board in terms of really urging people to be on town committees and to, and even the really important committees like the budget committee and school committee. It's things change. There really don't seem to be as large a proportion of the people in town who are willing to put that kind of time and effort into this work.
And there are
So-
two positions on the select board that are
Yeah,
gonna
so
come up.
Gary, when are you running for select board?
I'm not running for select board. I'm a newcomer here. So
Oh,
Oh, no, you're an old timer by now.
well, I'm an old timer, but not an old timer.
But you'd make an awesome select board member.
I know.
So Pat,
How about you, Pat?
what-
I took an oath 20 years ago that I would not, and so I still, oh,
So you
yeah, and
don't
someone
dare
across the
go
room
back.
just echoed no.
No,
Yeah.
but you're getting to an age where you forget. what you may have said
But
years ago,
I'm
so-
married to a
Just
younger
well.
person who doesn't forget.
Just as well.
No.
Anything else that people would like to bring up?
I want to bring up a sort of related subject. My grandson, who attends the Watershed High School, has gotten very involved with Allison McKellar and the group that are working on the
Yale.
possibility of restoring the river and removal of dams and all of that. They had a Zoom presentation on Sunday, and I watched that and have talked to the grandson about that since. And Lincolnville and Maguntacook Lake came up a lot during the meeting on Sunday, the 2-hour thing. So when they meet again, I'll try to let everybody know, because it's something to pay attention to. But one of the things that I was thinking about when you were talking, Cheryl, about keeping places the way they were, the way they were when we got here and we like them. One of the things that this group in Camden is up against about the removal of dams or restoring the flow of the river into the harbor is that people talk about this is a historical view of Harbor Park or of the harbor or of the Camden Deli, and we can't mess with that. So a real fundamental question is, whose history do we choose? Are we
Good
choosing the
question.
history of the mills that put in those dams that no longer function for that purpose? The history of a particular place to eat, or the history of the river and the fish and the water and the mountains to the sea business. So it's been really interesting talking to high
Yeah.
school age kids about this,
Mhm.
who wanted to go back to the way it was, not the way that they know it, having grown up here, but the way that they think it was supposed to be.
Supposed to be, yeah.
Well, then we get rid of Maguntacook Lake,
No, they're not talking about changing the lake. They're only talking about
because
the
it was
river.
never a lake, it was a river.
No. But they,
What do you mean, no,
one-
no?
yeah, they're not talking about anything that affects the lake. They're only talking about the river below.
No, because
the lake.
what my point was more that if you're really going back to the way it
Oh,
was,
yes.
you would
same thing
not
with
have a
Pitcher-
lake.
Yeah, Pitcher Pond. We wouldn't have a pond.
No,
Coleman.
we'll forget it.
Would Coleman still be there? No, Coleman has
No,
a dam.
no, Maguntacook is only a lake because of the dams. Otherwise, it would be a river.
Well, isn't that true of all of them? Coleman and Pitcher?
No,
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 Coleman
certainly
would
not
be-
of Moody. No,
There's a dam.
just
that raises
Maguntacook.
the level 2 feet.
Yeah, so I think that that's true of Maguntacook too, that Paul Leeper did a presentation at the library where he showed what the old contours of the lake were.
Yeah.
So Maguntacook was a lake, but it was a much smaller lake, a very much smaller lake than what it is now. So there were riverine parts of it, but other parts of it that were pretty broad, but
Bigger.
not very deep.
Not the way it is now.
No, not at all. It would be a completely different shoreline.
Same with Pitcher.
Pitcher, yeah, definitely Pitcher.
Oh, so Pitcher's Dam?
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no dam, no pond.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Ah, well,
Thanks for sharing that, Pat. Let us know if
I will, yeah.
there's going to be another meeting.
Yeah, they made a video and all our lakes and ponds are in it. It was really, it'll be on, I don't know whose website, I'll find out, but there's this video that they made with drones is really great for our purposes. So I'll try to get all of that to you when I find out from the people.
You know-
We saw that video.
So how long a video is it? Is it 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's not terribly long. And then Allison McKellar had a lot of charts of the lakes and ponds, but she made it very clear in the beginning that about McGuntacook and how much of it is Lincolnville, which a lot of people in Camden don't understand, and that it's nobody's intention to ever remove the dams from McGuntacook and change that in any way. But it's about from the river below the dams and through the village into the harbor. And it's a pretty contentious issue. I think it makes the moorings look easy.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Because again, it's about history. It's about what's it supposed to look like. And the library, Camden Library, owns Harbor Park. And so they consider the dam and the river as it comes into Harbor Park under their ownership or their control because they own Harbor Park. And when it's just a free-flowing river without the dam, it doesn't change the library. It doesn't change Harbor Park, really, but the library is somehow in control of that part of it. And I didn't know that. So library got to do with Harbor Park a lot.
So is there an interest on the part of the committee members, if this is a 10 or 15 minute video, to do it as a share screen video?
Yes.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's on YouTube because I've seen this. I think.
Oh, you have?
I think I saw it a couple of years ago. And I,
It's
Well,
just
this is
been
a
made.
different one that they just did for this particular, and I can't even remember the name of what
Yeah.
this initiative is, other than Allison McKellar is the select person who's doing it. And then some of the seniors from Watershed High School have taken it on as a senior project to help with it. And it's part of,
another video made a couple of years ago.
Yes,
No,
I've
this
seen
year.
that one, Tony. That one is really well done.
Oh, I'd like to see
That
that.
Allison put together. But it sounds like this one is put together by the Watershed School
no,
students.
no, this one, Alice, yeah, I think the school kids helped with it as well. I haven't watched it. So I will find out all that, and I'll
Okay.
probably just send it all to you, Gary, and then you can send it out.
If we can make it, yeah. So either we
Yeah.
could just watch it in advance if we wanted to. And
Or
talk
we could
about
watch it
or-
together, yeah.
It might be easier to do it that way.
Thank you. Great.
Anything else?
Gary, will you send a link for how to take a look at those maps?
I will.
Or your maps, yeah.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay, well, thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you, Gary.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Night.
Good night.
Night.
April 27th.
Good night.
Night.
I thought I'd